everybody, and welcome to episode 9 of the Lowery Show. So we're coming to you from Charleston, South Carolina, where, if you haven't heard, there's a major hurricane, Hurricane Dorian, and it's really actually affecting us big time. So we're here, we have no power, no internet, and we're doing the recording on the laptop. And since she's got nothing else to do, I'm here with my fiancé, Shelby.
Hello.
So she's coming in on the podcast because we're trapped and we have nothing to do right now. So, all right, so we're going to talk about this hurricane and then also some other hurricanes in my life that have affected me and some hurricanes that we've had in business and how we've handled them in the past. So first of all, this hurricane, it's something that comes out of the blue. It messes things up and you can't predict exactly what's going to happen, and it's very destructive. So we just had our best month ever in business, which is great. We have so many orders right now. We've almost had to stop selling things that we have so many orders in August. And right now there's packages sitting by the door at our office and we can't get them out. Right? Tuesday, the post office was supposed to come and they didn't come.
Yeah, there's so many things out of our control right now. So that makes it even more frustrating. And not to mention Monday was a holiday. So things weren't even running Monday. And then Tuesday we thought, okay, well, things weren't running Monday. So Tuesday they'll definitely come before the storm, yada, yada. UPS didn't come. They didn't deliver anything. And then the post office didn't pick up our packages. So right now there's just about 600 orders ready to go out the door, but they're just sitting there waiting for the post office to open back up and get out the door to our customers. So yeah, this hurricane, they never are convenient, but it's just definitely not a great time for us.
We have so many orders. We're trying to hire people. This week I was planning on having a bunch of interviews, and we didn't have any interviews because it's just a crazy week. People are evacuating.
There was a mandatory evacuation called starting Monday. So
nobody really did, but some people. It's just an awkward time. So a lot of our employees didn't come, rightfully so, and the post office,
some
UPS.
Tried to. Our employees, they want to work. They don't want to miss. But when it becomes a safety issue, obviously they have to stay home.
But it's just a really bad week for this to happen as our business is growing. But it's the hurricane. There's nothing we can do about it, and it sucks. So, all right, so we're going to talk about some other hurricanes that we've had in our lives. And one of the main things for me when I was a kid was I had to move twice. I had to move twice when I was a kid. I moved after 6th grade and I moved after 9th grade to completely different states. And this was one of the hurricanes that came to my life. It was one of the hardest things that ever happened to me. So my dad passed away when I was 12, and my family and my mom were fighting, and we had to move out of the state of New York. And it was moving away from my friends was one of the saddest things ever. I basically had to evacuate like a hurricane. And it was just a devastating time for me. And then the hardest part was when moving to a new school in 7th grade. I had to walk around the lunchroom on the first day of school. I had a soft pretzel on my plate. I was hoping someone would ask me to sit with them. Nobody asked me to sit with them, and I ate that soft pretzel, basically crying on the toilet in the stall.
Which is so sad. So
if
you happen to still be in school, or you have kids that are in school, tell them always be nice to the new kid.
Be nice to the new kid. I was always nice to the new kid later.
And invite them to eat lunch with you.
Yeah, but eventually moved to Chicago because my mom had a relationship, and it was the best years of my life once I made friends. Eventually, I think it took until basketball season to eventually make some friends. But 7th, 8th, and 9th grade were great years of my life. And then the relationship didn't work out with my mom and the reason we were in Chicago, so I had to move again back to Philadelphia. Now, again, 3 years later, I had to evacuate Chicago. I was so sad leaving my friends again, and that was the hardest part.
Yeah, your life is just turned
upside down. And most people like you just had same group of friends, like from kindergarten to
preschool to senior.
And it's not like I was going to another school or like in the same town. I was just moving completely like across the country. So it was devastating. So then again, I should have a hate for soft pretzels. But then the first day of 10th grade in Philadelphia at Plymouth White Marsh High School, I walked around the first day on lunch with a soft pretzel. No one asked me to sit with them. And again, I had to go to the stall, and I sat there and I cried. And I got over it eventually, but it's a sad story. But both times I was the new kid on the first day of school, I sat there with a soft pretzel and cried. And ultimately, I'm so happy now at this point in my life that those hurricanes hit me at young ages because I really had to shift and adapt. I mean, there were really different cultures in Philadelphia and Chicago and Syracuse, all the places where I lived, and I had to adapt and I had to have new groups of people and new friends. So those situations were devastating at the time. They crushed me. They really did. There was the crushing of the moving from my friends, and then the crushing of going to a new place and having to adapt. But it honestly made me so much stronger as a person. And they were the hardest times of my life. And I'm happy that they happened to me when I was in grade school or in high school times, because I think it really made me a strong, more resilient person who had to think for myself. And they were terrible at the time. But those hurricanes in my life, they did make me stronger.
Yeah. And those things were out of your control. You were just ripped out of a situation because of family stuff, and you just had to, you got to learn from it and move on and get stronger from it.
Right. It was tough. It was a hurricane. But I can't complain much after that. You know, my life has been good. And plus, I did transfer schools in college, but these decisions were in my control. So they weren't hurricanes. They were more like decisions that I had to make. But, you know, eventually graduated college, started the business, and me and you were having some success, and we came down here and started the business in Charleston.
Which was, our decision. We moved to Charleston from the Philadelphia area. And started to grow our business. We moved down here. It was just, me and you, just the two of us. Slowly had one more employee, then two more, and the business kept growing and growing a little too quick, I think, all at once, which we later came to find.
So this brings the next hurricane that we're going to talk about. And this one applies to business. And it was about, April of last year, April of 2018.
Yes.
Our business, we had over $1 million in sales. We had 12 employees, and it basically crashed into the ground. And I guess this was more of our fault than a natural disaster, but it was a hurricane that hit us hard. We had a rare problem. A lot of businesses have the problem where they don't have any sales. They just have no sales. And we did not have that problem. We had tons of sales.
Yeah, we just got our holiday season in 2017 was huge, swamped with sales. That's a reason we had so many employees. We had to hire.
Right, so we hired.
Yeah, we hired a few employees that came on during the holiday season when things were crazy and we had so many orders, so many sales. And then when the new year hit, it definitely slows down a bit. And then
so that was one of the mistakes I made that I've learned from. But we kept on all our employees from the holidays. And we kept them on into January and February. And my plan was just to keep growing the business. But January and February, not as easy to get sales as the holidays. So what I did was I ramped up the Facebook ads and the advertising spend. So we did have enough sales to keep everyone busy. And that was my main goal, to keep all of our employees busy and keep them working. And I was running the numbers. I mean, we weren't making big profits. I was like kind of justify it by saying, oh, we're like breaking even, but it's okay because we're getting new customers, new emails. Our employees are learning the trade. But we crashed. At some point, I think it was about February, we had no money, and I had to bring the employees together and just tell them the truth. This is my fault. I've crashed the business, and we had to let about half of our employees go. And it was hard because I didn't want to let employees go.
Yeah, they were all great workers, didn't deserve to get fired or anything. Some of them had families. It was definitely super hard.
And they liked the job, and they didn't do anything wrong. And we did it one by one. I mean, I think we first had to let a couple people go, and then a couple more a couple weeks later. And it was just a very difficult time. And I remember it was just crazy. Our sales were up at the $150,000, $200,000 a month in January and February, but we were losing so much money. I remember looking at my bank account, the business bank account, and we have two of them, and the one had negative $5,000, and the one had negative $8,000. And I took a screenshot of it because I was like, you know what? This is the hardest time ever, and I'm going to get through this, and we're going to look back on this and get stronger from it. But geez, so we fought, and what we did was we shrunk down the business. We tightened it up. We cut every expense that we possibly could. Our customer service person did shipping.
The employees that we kept around really stepped up, and they took on way more roles than they were used to. We combined jobs and responsibilities, and the team members that stayed on they're all still here, and they're amazing, and they really stepped up during that time.
So for 6 months, from about March to August, about 5-6 months, our sales were as lowest as they've ever been. And we did that on purpose because I made a pact that I'm not going to lose money.
They were low, but a lot healthier.
A lot healthier. We had to take this business that was just booming with sales and losing money. We had to shrink it down and make it healthy. And this was a point where we easily could have quit. It was actually pretty logical to quit, looking at the situation we were in. You were kind of had the thought of looking for a couple other jobs. I never had that thought, but I didn't blame you at all because it was ugly. It was very ugly, but I buckled down, and I remember being at my desk on like a Saturday, and we had no money, and I couldn't spend any more money on Facebook ads because I owed them too much money. So I went over to Snapchat ads and our email to try to do anything we could to get sales. And they were coming in, and they were lower, but eventually we made sure, and now we know the metrics. Our ad spend needs to be under 25%, and now everyone in the company knows it. And we have a big computer screen up that everyone has access to in our company, and they see it every day, and they know that we need to be at this certain point for ad spend. So we figured out the metrics that made our company healthy, but it was ugly.
That's something a lot of businesses know those metrics, but you have to learn and trial and error to perfect the metric.
Right.
What works for your company.
Right. So we now know them, and we've been running the business this whole year and ever since this crisis, knowing those numbers. So we've been able to do it very effectively. So now we have big sales, and we're actually having a profit. And now it's just about growing, and we've had to shut things down because we have so many sales. But if this never happened, we would have kept losing money. And I mean, we did. We kept losing money until the last second. And that's my fault, but that's kind of how I roll. I go big until the problem hits, and then I handle it. And I think I've got a lot smarter from it. But, geez, it was just really, really ugly. It was a nasty hurricane. We had to...
It was a hurricane that came through real quick, but stayed around for a little while.
It took us 6 months.
The cleanup was...
6 months of cleanup. 6 months of struggling, firing people, and we had to sleep at the office. We had to sleep at the office because we rented out our house on Airbnb just for the extra money. We needed to do anything we could for extra cash. I remember being at the grocery store and trying to get like some spaghetti and having the cars decline. And we were like, we left our wallet out in the car.
Yeah, one time we went in, I think we had like $3.50 or something. I think we got ramen noodles, and bananas were a good...
Bananas are cheap.
Yeah.
But it was just incredibly ugly. And it was also the best thing that's happened because now our business is so much stronger from it. And the lesson there was we buckled down. We didn't quit. We learned the metrics. We learned what worked. And we got a lot stronger from it. And now we actually know how to run our business. If we would have quit, or if we would have had some other business and dived into that, then we never would have had to fight through this stage and become as strong as we have become. So the lesson is, when things get hard, that is truly the point where a lot of people give up. But that's truly the point where you actually learn how to make it. You actually learn, next time something bad happens, we know the metrics. We know what we need to do, and we know how to fight through it. And if it weren't for that, we wouldn't have learned how our business would have ran. So we could have quit. We should have quit, logically. I remember talking to my mom. She's like, you should probably come back or figure something out. But we took out a couple loans. Oh man, it was ugly. We owed money to every single place, every single where. And the sales would come in the morning, and I would have to distribute that before all the expenses came out at about 11. So every day I had negative bank accounts, and every day there would be fees for all those negative accounts. So I paid about, ended up paying about $10,000, $15,000 in just banking fees for them allowing me to have the negative bank accounts. And you can go deep into the hole. I was so surprised how allowed I was to go into the hole. I had credit cards that I owed, and I had suppliers that I owed, and I had the bank that I owed, and I had loans that I owed, and it was just ugly, ugly, ugly. And it was the biggest hurricane in my business career, and we fought through it, and we learned a lot from it. So hurricanes, they make you stronger. I don't know if this one's making us any stronger. We know we hate it, but it just made us think about the hurricanes that we've had in our lives and business. And
with stuff like this, sometimes you just have to be patient, ride it out, and get moving as soon as you can afterwards.
Yeah, you got to be patient. And we could have, a lot of our neighbors that we talked to, they were just like, yeah, we are evacuating. We're getting paid anyway. We might as well get out of town and make a little vacation out of it. But that doesn't work for us.
No.
We need to get back to the office as soon as possible. That's the other thing when you run a business. You can't just go on vacation. It's on someone else's dime. Like, no, we need to be here. And it sucks for us because we have our customers that we need to get things to. It's not just a casual hurricane or whatever people were calling it. So we like that, though, and that's the life we live. It's almost better to have something to fight for and live for every day, and have and the hurricanes really affect business owners the most.
Yeah.
We drove
they affect small businesses drastically, especially, some of our employees are hourly and stuff. They're missing a lot of work, and a lot of the small businesses downtown, the restaurants, bars, they have to close, it really affects them.
And the post office is a big thing for us.
Oh, yeah.
The post office and UPS delivering our supplies. All right, we're trapped in. We know it's going to get past us. We're not going to have, I don't know, some huge disaster. It's already here, and it hasn't knocked down a lot of trees or anything, but we're going to survive. Mm-hmm. We're going to make it through this hurricane. We've made it through many other hurricanes in life.
Hopefully the power's not out for too long.
We got to get back to the office. We got to get the machines pumping. We got to get the post office coming. But it's not our first hurricane. We know how to fight through it.
It won't be our last.
And at least we got to do this podcast during the hurricane.
Yeah, one piece of thing done.
All right, so thanks for coming on.
All right, thanks for having me.
All right, everybody, thanks for listening. And enjoy the day and fight through all your hurricanes in life. All right, see you guys.